There comes a moment in every life, a moment when the world goes silent and you are left alone with one question: am I going to rise or am I going to break? Some people stop when they're tired. Some people stop when they're hurt. But the ones who make it, the ones who change their destiny, they keep going. Even when their legs shake, their heart breaks, and the path gets dark. Because they've trained the one weapon stronger than pain, their mind. Your mind is a battlefield. And every day you are fighting two forces, the version of you that wants to quit, and the version of you that wants to conquer. The truth is simple. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your training. And if your mind is weak, your life will collapse the moment pressure hits. But if your mind is strong, there is nothing on this earth that can stop you. Training your mind to never give up means feeding it discipline when it wants comfort, focus when it wants distraction, faith when it wants fear. It means waking up on the days you don't feel like it, and showing the world and yourself that you are built from something deeper. Every champion was once a beginner who refused to quit. Every success story is written with sweat, struggle, and silent battles that nobody saw. People will doubt you. Life will test you. Your plans will fall apart. But your mind, your mindset, is what decides whether you rebuild stronger or walk away defeated. You must program your thoughts like an engineer building a foundation. Tell your mind what to believe. Tell your mind what to chase. Tell your mind what you refuse to surrender. Because your mind listens. And when your mind becomes unshakable, your life becomes unstoppable. So, today, make a decision. Never give yourself permission to quit. Not on your dreams. Not on your purpose. Not on the future you are trying to build. You are stronger than the pain you feel. You are bigger than the obstacles in front of you. And you were born with the power to rise again, every single time. This is your mission, motivation to begin, discipline to continue, faith to endure. A mindset built for success. And if you're ready to build that version of yourself, if you're ready to rise higher every day, then don't just watch, join the mission. Subscribe, stay connected, and let's grow into the strongest version of you together. Your mind is your strongest weapon because everything you do, become, and overcome begins from the thought you allow and the beliefs you protect. And when life gets hard, when fear gets loud, when doubt starts whispering that you're not enough, it is your mind that stands on the front lines deciding whether you rise or collapse, whether you keep pushing forward or surrender to pressure. And this is why training your mind is not optional. It is essential. Because a mind that is not trained becomes a mind that panics, reacts, and breaks under the weight of challenges, while a trained mind becomes a shield, a compass, and a source of unstoppable energy that refuses to back down. And training your mind means choosing strength over excuses, choosing discipline when comfort calls your name, choosing focus when distractions try to steal your purpose, choosing faith when the world gives you every reason to fear. And when you repeatedly choose strength, your mind learns, adapts, and evolves into something unshakable. Something that cannot be manipulated by negativity or controlled by circumstances. And slowly you start to realize that the people who win are not those who never struggle, but those who build a mindset strong enough to outlast the struggle. And you begin to understand that success is less about natural talent and more about your mental endurance, your inner dialogue, and your refusal to quit. And every time you push through resistance, every time you silence doubt, every time you stand back up after falling, you are carving a new identity, the identity of someone who becomes stronger under pressure, someone who grows through challenges instead of shrinking from them, someone who cannot be defeated because their mind is trained to fight, to rise, to endure, and to never give up. Champions aren't gifted, they're forged through discipline and resilience. And this truth becomes clearer the more you study the people who rise from nothing to greatness, because what sets them apart is not luck, not talent, not perfect circumstances, but the relentless decision to keep showing up even when the world gives them every reason to stop. And discipline becomes the silent engine behind their success, the force that pushes them to practice when no one is watching, to work when others sleep, to stay committed long after motivation fades, and resilience becomes the armor they wear when life hits them hard, when rejection stings, when setbacks pile up, when failures threaten to shatter their confidence. And yet they keep going, not because the path is easy, but because their purpose is stronger than their pain. And being a champion has nothing to do with being born special, but everything to do with training your mind and body to act with consistency, with patience, with unbreakable focus. And the truth is that discipline builds habits while resilience builds character. And when the two work together, they create a version of you that cannot be intimidated by pressure or defeated by challenges. And every champion you admire today has walked through storms you never saw, cried tears you'll never know about, fought battles you could not imagine. Yet what kept them rising was their commitment to discipline, their refusal to be controlled by excuses, and their resilience that turned every hardship into fuel. And when you choose discipline over comfort, when you choose resilience over fear, you step onto the path of greatness, the path where persistence becomes your foundation and growth becomes your reward. And slowly you start shaping yourself into someone who doesn't wait for strength but builds it. Someone who doesn't hope for success but earns it. Someone who doesn't give up because they understand that champions are made, not born. You either feed your excuses or you feed your purpose, and this single decision shapes the entire direction of your life. Because excuses are easy. They are comforting. They are the soft places your mind runs to when you feel pressure or fear. And purpose is demanding. It calls you higher. It forces you to face the part of yourself that need to grow. And every day you wake up standing at the crossroads between these two forces, and the choice you make determines whether you stay stuck or move forward, whether you repeat your past or create your future. And excuses whisper things that sound reasonable. They tell you it's not the right time. You're too tired, too busy, not ready. They convince you that waiting is safer than trying, but every time you choose an excuse, you feed weakness, you feed procrastination, you feed the mindset that keeps you from becoming who you are meant to be. And purpose, on the other hand, speaks quietly but powerfully. It reminds you of why you started. It pulls you toward the life you want to live. It asks you to push a little harder, stay a little longer, rise a little stronger. And when you choose purpose, you feed courage, consistency, and growth. And the more you feed it, the more it grows until it becomes a natural part of your identity. And soon you realize that success is not about having perfect opportunities, but about refusing to let excuses dictate your destiny. And every time you ignore the voice that tries to hold you back, every time you choose action over hesitation, every time you do the work despite discomfort, you are proving to yourself that your purpose matters more than temporary resistance, and that decision repeated daily transforms you into someone unstoppable, someone focused, someone who moves with intention and refuses to be held down by the limits created in their own mind. Pain is temporary, but quitting is permanent, because pain, no matter how intense it feels, in the moment, eventually fades. It transforms, it teaches, it strengthens. While quitting leaves a mark that never leaves your mind, a silent reminder of what you could have been if you had pushed just a little longer. And when challenges hit you, when life throws setbacks, heartbreak, exhaustion, or disappointment your way, your mind instantly searches for the easiest escape, the fastest relief, the quickest way to stop hurting. But the truth is that the people who rise above their circumstance are the ones who understand that pain is not the enemy. Pain is a signal that you are growing, stretching, evolving beyond who you were yesterday. And the discomfort you feel is proof that you are moving, changing, breaking old limits, and create new strength. And every time you push through that discomfort, you build a little more resilience, a little more courage, a little more belief in what you are capable of. And this accumulation of small victories becomes the foundation of a powerful mindset, because quitting might feel like relief in the moment, but it steals the possibility of your future. It blocks the breakthroughs waiting on the other side of struggle. And it traps you in the same patterns that kept you stuck before. And when you understand that pain is temporary, you stop fearing it, you stop running from it, and you start using it, turning it into fuel, turning it into focus, turning it into strength, and you begin to realize that every person who ever succeeded felt pain, doubt, fear, and exhaustion. But they kept going anyway. And that decision to endure, to rise, to continue despite the struggle is what separates the ones who dream from the ones who achieve, because pain eventually ends, but the pride of not quitting lasts forever. Motivation starts the journey, but discipline completes it. Because motivation is a spark, burst of energy, a flash of excitement that makes you believe anything is possible. But like every spark, it fades, it dims, it disappears when life gets heavy, when challenges show up, when emotions shift. And that is where most people stop, waiting for motivation to return, waiting to feel ready again. But the ones who succeed know that readiness is a choice, not a feeling. And discipline is the force that carries you forward when the spark is gone. Discipline is the quiet power that shows up every morning, not for applause, not for recognition, but because the mission matters more than comfort. And when you build discipline, you stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop relying on short bursts of inspiration. You stop letting your feelings dictate your future. Because discipline does not ask how you feel, it asks who you want to become. And every time you choose discipline over laziness, over doubt, over procrastination, you are proving to yourself that your goals are real, that your purpose is real, that you are serious about the life you're trying to build. And slowly you begin to understand that motivation is emotional, but discipline is structural. Motivation lifts you, but discipline builds you. Motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you moving on the days that feel heavy and slow. And this is the difference between those who start strong and fade away versus those who start and never stop. Because discipline accumulates, grows, expands, and forms habits that become your identity. And when something becomes your identity, it becomes automatic, natural, effortless, and that is when you start rising faster than the average person. Because you no longer depend on the temporary fire of motivation, but on the steady engine of discipline. And every time you complete a task you didn't feel like doing, every time you stay consistent, every time you show up, even when your mind tries to hold you back, you are building an internal strength far more powerful than excitement. Because discipline makes you dependable, focused, unstoppable. And it is discipline that turns dreams into plans, plans into actions, and actions into results. And when you embrace discipline fully, you stop chasing motivation and instead become someone who creates progress daily, someone who grows consistently, someone who achieves what others only talk about. Because discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you can become. And when you walk that bridge every day, nothing can stop your rise. Faith turns obstacles into stepping stones, because faith is the inner strength that allows you to see possibility where others see dead ends. It is the quiet confidence that whispers keep going when every part of your life is telling you to stop. And without faith, challenges look final, struggles look permanent, and pain looks meaningless. But with faith, you begin to understand that everything you face is shaping you, preparing you, strengthening you for something greater. And obstacles stop feeling like roadblocks and start feeling like lessons, opportunities, and invitations to grow beyond the limits you once believed were impossible to cross. And faith is not about ignoring reality. It is about refusing to be controlled by fear, refusing to allow doubt to dictate your decisions, refusing to let temporary setbacks decide the rest of your story. And when you carry faith within you, you are able to walk through darkness with a steady heart, because you trust that something better is waiting on the other side. And this trust gives you energy when you are tired, courage when you are afraid, and patience when progress feels slow. And every great achievement in history was built on faith long before results showed up. Because faith keeps you working when no one believes in you, keeps you showing up when no one is watching, keeps you fighting even when things don't make sense yet. And this is the power that transforms obstacles into stepping stones. Because when you have faith, you don't run from difficulty. You climb it, you learn from it, you use it, and it becomes the very foundation that lifts you higher. And gradually you realize that every challenge that once scared you is now a part of your strength. Every hardship that once hurt you is now a part of your wisdom, and every moment of doubt that once made you hesitate is now a reminder of how far you've come. And the more you trust the path, the more you trust yourself, and the more unstoppable you become, because faith rewires your mindset into one that doesn't break easily, doesn't give up quickly, and doesn't lose hope when life becomes difficult. And that kind of mindset makes you powerful, resilient, and unstoppable, turning every obstacle into another step forward on your journey to becoming your strongest self. Your mindset decides your future more than your circumstances do, because the world can place limits around you. But your mind is the only thing that determines whether you accept those limits or break through them. And the difference between people who rise and people who stay stuck is not found in talent, money, luck, or opportunity, but in the invisible world of their thinking, their beliefs, and the story they tell themselves every single day. And when your mindset is weak, every small setback feels like a dead end, every challenge feels like proof that you're not capable, every failure feels like a final defeat, and you start shrinking, doubting yourself, and living a life smaller than the one you were meant for. But when your mindset is strong, the same challenges become fuel, the same failures become lessons, and the same obstacles become training grounds that shape you into someone more powerful, more capable, and more resilient than before. And this is why two people can experience the same hardship but come out with completely different results. Because one focuses on what they can't control while the other focuses on what they can build, what they can change, what they can overcome. The truth is that the world responds to how you think long before. It responds to what you do because your actions flow from your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your identity, and your identity shapes your destiny. And if you constantly tell yourself you're not ready, not good enough, not strong enough, you begin to live out that story. But if you tell yourself you can grow, you can improve, you can rise, your mind will begin to search for ways to make it true. And this is the hidden power most people ignore. Because mindset is not just positivity, it is the mental foundation that decides how you interpret life, how you react to struggle, how you move through fear, and how you face uncertainty. And when that foundation is strong, you stop being thrown around by circumstances and start becoming someone who creates outcomes instead of waiting for them. Someone who remains focused even in chaos, someone who keeps faith in confusion, someone who keeps moving when everything else stands still. And a powerful mindset gives you the mental stamina to keep going long enough for success to find you. Because success rarely happens quickly. It happens to those who refuse to give up. Those who adapt. Those who learn. Those who show up again and again. And your mindset is what keeps you alive during the quiet seasons when nothing seems to be working. And your dreams feel far. And progress feels slow. And doubts try to convince you to walk away. But a strong mindset says keep going, keep working, keep believing, because your future is not defined by where you are but by where you are willing to go. And that determination begins in your mind, long before you ever see it in your life. Which is why the greatest investment you will ever make is not in your circumstances but in your mindset. Because when your mind is strong, your future becomes limitless. Subscribe to the mission of growth and build the strongest version of yourself daily. Because growth is not something that happens once. Not something that arrives suddenly, not something gifted to the lucky or the chosen, but something you create through consistent action, intentional choices, and a commitment to becoming better than you were yesterday. And subscribing to this mission means you're no longer living life passively, waiting for inspiration to strike, waiting for opportunities to fall into your lap, waiting for perfect conditions before you move, because waiting keeps you stuck. But committing to growth moves you forward even when the path is unclear. And building the strongest version of yourself is not a one-time decision. It is a daily process of showing up, improving, learning, and refusing to remain the same. And this mission requires honesty with yourself. The kind that forces you to look at your weaknesses without running from them. That pushes you to confront your bad habits, your fears, your excuses. Because growth doesn't come from pretending everything is fine. It comes from saying, I can do better. I can be better. I deserve better. And then taking the step to make that belief real. And the strongest version of you is shaped through countless small actions that seem insignificant in the moment, but accumulate into transformation. Actions like choosing discipline over distraction, choosing effort over laziness, choosing courage over comfort, and choosing progress even when it feels slow. And when you commit to the mission, you start to realize that the world doesn't reward perfection, it rewards persistence, consistency, and resilience. And subscribing to growth means you embrace the idea that you are never finished, never done learning, never done evolving. Because there is always another level of strength, another level of focus, another level of self-control waiting to be unlocked. And every challenge you face becomes a training ground. Every mistake becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes a chance to rise stronger. And instead of fearing the journey, you begin to appreciate it. Because every step forward is a victory, every effort counts, and every day you commit to growth is a day you refuse to repeat your old life. And as you build the strongest version of yourself, you notice that your confidence grows, your mindset sharpens, your energy elevates, and you stop being controlled by circumstances and instead begin shaping your own reality. Because growth gives you the power to influence your environment, your direction, and your destiny. And this mission teaches you that success is not a moment but a lifestyle, not a finish line but a way of living that prioritizes progress over perfection, effort over excuses, and elevation over stagnation. And when you subscribe to this mission fully, you start surrounding yourself with better influences, better habits, better thoughts. Because you understand that the strongest version of you cannot be built in a weak environment. And you start protecting your energy, your time, your focus. knowing they are the tools with which you build your future, and slowly you realize that this mission is not just about reaching goals, but about becoming someone who keeps growing long after the goals are met. Someone who leads instead of follows. Someone who inspires instead of imitates. Someone who rises instead of retreats. When you live with this mindset every single day, you become unstoppable, because nothing can defeat a person who chooses growth over fear, effort over excuses, and purpose over comfort. And that is the mission you subscribe to when you decide to build the strongest version of yourself daily. And as you walk away from this message, remember this: everything you want, everything you dream of, everything you were created to become is waiting on the other side of your persistence, your discipline, your faith, and your refusal to give up. Because your mind is the engine of your destiny. And when you train it to stay strong, stay focused, and stay committed no matter how heavy life gets, you become unstoppable. So step forward with courage, carry your purpose with pride, rise every time you fall, and build the future you know you deserve. Because your story is not finished, your strength is still growing, and the world hasn't even seen the best version of you yet.